was the architect of this program, and I can't believe that a control freak like the Prime Minister didn't have his paws all over this to begin with.
Well, to you, Jason, and I suppose it follows on from what Sophie's saying there, the Prime Minister is defiant. He's not going to give the coalition this scalp. Is it because he is such a high-profile person, Peter Garrett, that it'd be just too big a setback in this at the start of this election year?
No, I think it's based on the evidence that we see before us. There have been some terrible tragedies and problems with the scheme. There's no denying that at all. But when you look at the evidence, Peter Garrett sought information on the risks, got recommendations from the experts, and he acted on that advice. Now, I encourage you to compare this situation to the kerosene bath scandal, where someone also died. There were 4,000 complaints about aged care centres around the country over 2 years, and the aged care department then didn't issue one spot check. No minister was sacked, and I'm not suggesting that a minister should have been sacked on that occasion, but what I am suggesting here is evidence of political hypocrisy. Because last week, Tony Abbott accused a minister of industrial manslaughter. And on that occasion, with the kerosene bath scandal, he defended the minister and he actually lent his media staff to handle media inquiries for Bronwyn Bishop on that occasion. And when he promoted her back into shadow cabinet last year, he said in his excuse, well, Bronwyn Bishop didn't run the bath. There you have it, Kieran. This is evidence of hypocrisy. Tony Abbott is just playing politics, looking for a political scalp.
Sophie, there's a couple of other matters I want to get your thoughts on. We can debate that all day, but let's go to the idea of student identification numbers. This is something that's going to be raised by Julia Gillard, apparently, in her address to the National Press Club today. What do you make of that idea? Basically, an opportunity for parents to track the performance of their children throughout their school years. Are there privacy concerns here?
Look, there are lots of concerns, and I'm not surprised Ms Gillard is coming out with yet another announcement. I fully expected that the government would try and deflect from its broken promises and from the Garrett debacle this week by coming up with all sorts of announcements to have the media scurrying to different focuses. And Ms Gillard has a lot to be concerned about. We've had the computers in schools debacle. We've had the youth allowance debacle. We've had the abolition of Commonwealth scholarships without a replacement. We've had the building education revolution problems right across the country. And yet she ignores all of that and, as a distraction, comes up with yet a new idea. Look, we need to have a look at this in greater detail. There are privacy concerns. Who will have access to this information? What is it going to be used for? You can't accept and rubber stamp something like this without having had a look at the details of it.
Yeah, Jason, the My School website seems to have gone down very well with parents, the transparency, but is this just a step too far, giving kids ID numbers? I mean, are there not privacy worries or risks involved?
Well, privacy is always important. You need to consult with the Privacy Commission on all of these sorts of things, but this is the next step. It makes sure that we're tracking students' improvements and the progress they make. We've implemented national testing. We're implementing a national curriculum. Students move between states, keep that in mind. What this helps to ensure is that teachers get the best information on the progress of students, their strengths and weaknesses, to make sure that kids don't fall behind. We don't have kids that finish school without the literacy and numeracy skills that they need. I know the Deputy Prime Minister will talk about this more at 12:30 on Sky, so if people are really interested in this, stay tuned, keep watching Sky at 12:30 and you'll get more.
It's a good plug.
I do what I can.
Yeah, he's earning his spot. Sophie, to you, I spoke to Barnaby Joyce about it a bit earlier. He says it's not coalition policy, but what do you make of the ideas floated in the Herald today, quoting Tony Abbott, apparently submission before he became leader? Compulsory work for the dole, tougher checks on disability support payments, less areas, or greater areas, I should say, for quarantining welfare payments. Do you think they all make sense? And what about raising the pension age as an idea to pay for it?
You know what politics is about? It's about governing for a better Australia. And to do that, you need to think. You need to have ideas. You just can't have spivvy men in suits giving a 5-second grab to the media. And Tony Abbott and the coalition are about ideas and about discussing ideas and about coming up with solutions to how we're going to get out of this historic debt. Now, currently, coalition policy in those areas hasn't been settled, but I'm not going to accept for 1 minute, neither will the coalition, criticism or speculation about, oh, they might come up with this policy or that policy. Ideas are a good thing, and in order to get to good policy, you need to discuss these, you need to debate these. You can't just have one person, like this current government seems to have, in Kevin Rudd, micromanaging and coming up with ideas off the top of his head that we've seen are unworkable, like the home insulation program. And
no, that's a fair point, isn't it, from Sophie, that you know, ideas are healthy in politics.
Right.
They're not saying any of this is policy at this point.
No. One or two things is happening here. Either Tony Abbott has decided to drop his old shadow cabinet minutes to the Sydney Morning Herald. We had the same case with paid maternity leave 2 weeks ago. Or somebody else who's got his shadow cabinet minutes and is no longer in shadow cabinet, might have an axe to grind against him, is dropping these to the media. On the policy point, you're right, ideas are good. The average length of unemployment is about 36 weeks. Most important thing is to get people back to work as quick as possible. There's nothing better than a job. A job is even better than work for the dole. And that means giving people job search skills and getting them back into the workforce. For long-term unemployed, people that have been unemployed for longer than 6 months, longer than 12 months, they lose skills, and work for the dole plays a very important part in that process.
Okay, Jason, Clare, thank you for your time. Sophie Mirabella, I think I introduced you as the spokesperson for women and youth, but you're now industry and innovation, of course, a promotion. Good to have you here, Sophie. And Jason, join us as well 12:30 for Julia Gillard's address to the Press Club. But for now, thanks for your company.